They're cramped, they're smelly, and they're boring. If that's your impression of the average underground transport system throughout the world, then you really need to take a look at the Moscow Metro. Hello, it's Joe Baker here again with another simple guide to the city of Moscow, and the purpose of the guides are to basically, if you can't go and do a tour of Moscow, then we're going to bring the tour to you. In this one we're going to look at the Moscow Metro system. Now a lot of you are going to think, why would you want to do that? It's only an underground train system. But take my word for it, when you start to see the images and the videos of this underground system, it is simply going to blow you away. Now, if you've used any underground systems such as the London Tube, you'll know that they're pretty smelly, pretty cramped, and the reason it's called a tube is because really it's that small. But when you go into the Moscow Metro, it is completely different. Try and imagine an underground railway system that has marble on the walls, is paved with granite, has works of art on the wall, and is lit up by chandeliers. You would automatically assume no way, that would be impossible. But for a lot of stations within the Moscow Metro, that's exactly the way they are. Put quite simply, the Moscow Metro is absolutely massive, and all its stations and trains, they will get you to really, well, anywhere within central Moscow certainly, but almost any part of the city, and it's a sight to be seen. Now there are quite a few stations within the centre, the very city centre itself, and for the purpose of our video we're going to start at the main one right slap bang in the middle. Now the only thing I must do at this stage is I must apologise to any of my Russian friends, because I know I'm going to butcher the names of these stations, but please bear in mind that I'm reading these in Russian and trying to pronounce them with a Belfast accent, so please give me a wee bit of forgiveness for that one. Now, when we travel to Moscow, we always stay at the one hotel complex, which is the Izmailovsky, which was built for the Moscow Olympics, and is, if you're ever considering going, I highly recommend it that you stay here. Now, the hotel is next to the metro, which is the Partizanski, and that's the one that's named in honour of the partisans who fought in what the Russians call the Great Patriotic War, which of course was World War II. And it's a massive station, and you'll see within it the large marble sort of statues of the partisans, and then of course whenever you get up, the massive bronze monument of the partisan leaders, and very, very impressive station. Now the station is on the blue line, which is the number 3 line, and to go into the centre of Moscow we have to go through 6 stations, and every single one of those stations alone is worth stopping at, because they're very, very impressive. And what I always recommend people to do, if you're in no hurry, is if you're getting your metro ticket into the centre of Moscow, stop off at every station on the way in. It'll break up your journey. It's not a long journey anyway, but it'll break it up, and whenever you see the stations going in, these here will really impress you. And what you need to remember is this is one line, and this is only 6 stations on that one line, and you'll see whenever you experience them, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when I say that the Moscow Metro really needs to be seen to be believed. Like most visitors to the city, the first place you're obviously going to want to go to is Red Square and the Kremlin area, and although it's quite walkable too, it all depends on where you're staying. But we always tell everyone, no matter who you are, what part of Moscow you're in, always make sure you use the Moscow Metro. It is very cheap, it is very quick, and the trains, I do believe, run something like every 90 seconds, so it's going to get you everywhere that you need to get. And I recommend when you get to the ticket office to buy multiple journeys, because once you start using this system, you're going to explore it. And we always find that if it's raining, that it's a brilliant it's a brilliant day out whenever it's pouring with rain upstairs. So that's the first tip. But the station that you'll want to make your way to if you're going to the very center of Moscow is Plощad Revoluция, and that is, we always just call it People's Revolutions, because what we do is we look at the names and then make up our own names so that we remember the station. And we don't do that with the English translations, we always do that with the actual Russian name. So whenever we see the names in Russian, we basically make up our own, and whenever we're traveling about, we know. And I know it sounds very silly, I know it sounds almost childish, but it works for us, and I'm quite sure that'll work for you as well. Whenever you reach a station and get off the train, the first thing you're going to notice is the large archways, and all made from granite and marble, and all of the floors are all solid granite. And the place, as I mentioned earlier, the place is lit up with chandeliers, believe it or not. And in each arch there are 4 life-size statues, bronze statues, and these statues represent the workers of the Soviet Union and the artists and the intellectuals and stuff like this here. So you're going to come to one arch and it's going to have farmers, another one's going to have a soldier, another one's going to have a sailor, another one's going to have a mine worker, and it continues on. And there's quite a few arches, and each arch has 4 monuments on each one. So that's the first thing that's going to strike you about this station. Very, very impressive. Now there's 2 exits from this station, and one's going to bring you up to the area around the Four Seasons Hotel and into the front of what is Red Square, and of course the Alexander Gardens, which leads you into the Kremlin. The other one will bring you up to the main shopping street, and it doesn't matter which one you go out, they're going to bring you roughly to the same area. But whenever you go up, you know, you go up one end and you'll see the impressive bust of Lenin. You go up the other end and you'll see all the fantastic artwork, all the marble artwork of all the Soviet symbols, and you know, the hammer and sickles and the Red Star and things like this here. And whenever you look at these, you're going to be blown away, as I said. But you have to remember, a lot of these stations, I think it's 200 stations, and quite a few of these stations on the Moscow Metro are World Heritage Sites. So whenever you see the likes of all this artwork, you're going to understand exactly why. But the thing that I must point out is, even though you're going to be very impressed with this station, there are stations which are far more impressive than this one, and later on in the video we're going to look at some of those as well. What we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at several of the most spectacular stations, the most beautiful ones. But what you need to remember is there are lots more. And the metro system is made up of over 200 stations, and there's more stations being added every year. And believe it or not, even the modern ones are very spectacular, and a lot of them are worth going to see. But as I said, for the purpose here, we're just going to take a look at a number of the most spectacular ones, which are easy to get to, and which I hope you'll enjoy. And if you ever do get there, please remember, the video does not do them justice. They really need to be seen to be believed. At this stage you're probably wondering why I haven't told you or instructed you how to actually use the metro, but that's something I haven't forgot about. It is something that we'll look at the very end of the video, but nothing to worry about. It is very easy to use and very easy to navigate around. Talking about navigating around, one of the things that you'll want to do before you even go anywhere near the metro is if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, just download the Moscow Metro app for times and stations and maps and stuff like that, or go the old-fashioned way. Go to Google Images and download a copy of the Metro map. And if you want to be really old-fashioned, then what you can do is you can just go to your hotel, and most hotels would have these here. They have maps of Moscow throughout their lobbies, and they're very useful, and included in that is a metro map. Failing that, if you go to a souvenir shop, this is something you're going to want to do anyway, is go to the nearest souvenir shop and pick up the postcard sets or the small information booklet on the Moscow Metro, and they will show you the most remarkable stations, and it'll give you a better idea of what stations to go and visit, as opposed to just jumping on a train and jumping on and off, which, to be honest with you, is a great day out as well, but you'll only want to do that if it's raining. The first station I would recommend any visitor to go to is the Komsomolskaya Yar, which is on the number 5 line, and that's the Brown Circle line. In my opinion, that is without doubt the most impressive station in the whole network, because it is just completely filled with massive artworks, is lit up with massive chandeliers, and it is just so impressive that it needs to be seen to be believed. Now, this line was opened in January 1952 and was part of the second stage of that particular line. And whenever it did open, as I said, it's jam-packed full of artwork of all these massive mosaics. And at the very beginning, they were very Stalinist. Now, when I say Stalinist, I mean they actually had Stalin in them. And the others had people like Beria in it, and you know, regardless of your opinion on Stalin, you know, whether good, bad or indifferent, there's no one can really like Beria. So during Khrushchev's de-Stalinization period, all these were removed and replaced. So whenever you go and look at the mosaics today, you know, one of the most impressive ones is of the Soviet leader Lenin, and he's delivering a speech in Red Square. And whenever you look at that one, that is actually replacing one that was there of Stalin. Another is where that had, as I was saying, had Beria in it, and that was replaced by a better one because it shows the Soviet troops on the Reichstag, and that of course is following the Battle of Berlin and the defeat of Adolf Hitler. But one of the most impressive ones, and you know, you have to give this the attention it so richly deserves, is the one to Muller Russia. And she is following what the Russians call the Great Patriotic War, which is World War II. She is standing on these Nazi banners, and in one hand she's holding a hammer and sickle, and in the other she's holding a palm branch. And whenever you look at that mosaic, believe it or not, is made up of more than 300,000 tiles, and it takes up 31 square meters. And the most remarkable thing is that it weighs more than 3 tons, you know, and you have to take all that in whenever you're looking at these artworks. But as I say, this is the station you want to go to first, and very, very impressive. And although the photographs are impressive as well, they really do not do it justice. The next station I recommend visiting is the one which is directly next to the previous one, which is Pros Park Meerun. And it also opened in January 1952, and its central theme seems to be more the agriculture in the former Soviet Union. And whenever you go in, whenever you look at this station, you can be forgiven to think that the style of it is, you know, it's almost like ancient Rome, and it's, you know, this glazed, you know, tile work and stuff like that. Would not look out of place if you were to visit the Roman Forum. Now, one of the things I always love about it, as soon as you come off the trains, on each pillar, you know, you see these massive bronze hammer and sickle, you know, designs, and they're actually air vents. And that's the thing that always gets me. I always be blown away by that, to think of the detailed work that they just put in to the air vents alone. You know, and that is really remarkable. But whenever you're here, the other thing that you'll notice is the beautiful ceiling work, you know, the designs of the ceilings, even above the trains. And, you know, the work that went into them would be just beyond belief. But whenever you're here, you know, it is a lovely station and well worth admiring. And you just basically, once again, as soon as you're finished, you jump on the train and make your way to the other station, which I highly recommend that you visit. The next station to visit, once again, is only one stop away, and it's the station Novoslobodskaya Yar. And as soon as you go to this station, the first thing that's going to strike you is the architecture of it, you know, the lamp standards and the marble and the use of, you know, lots of granite and stuff like this. It really is a beautiful, beautiful station. However, the thing that really sticks out is the stained glass sort of windows, and these are really, really remarkable. There's quite a few of them throughout the whole station, and they really do need to be seen to be believed. But the thing that I like about them is that, you know, even the lighting behind them, it's not as if they just stuck light bulbs, you know, at the back of it. The lighting is actually quite clever because it's actually designed to look as if it's daylight coming into the station. And, you know, it really is a beautiful station and really worth a visit on your metro trips. The next station along on the same line is the Belarus Skyar, and once again, like all the stations I'm showing you, it really is worth stopping off. This one in particular has remarkable artworks, you know, on the ceiling, and the ceiling itself is, you know, the amount of work that's went into it is quite fascinating. So this is the next station along on the same line, and it's called Belarus Skyar. Getting back onto the train, and this time we're travelling 2 stops away, and we're going to the Kyap Skyar station, which is another one of those stations with the absolute wow factor. It is covered in a lot of fantastic artwork, once again, all mosaics with, you know, really impressive frames around them. And the design of the station was as part of an open competition which was held in the Ukraine. Basically, it features, you know, low square pylons, and these are filled with white marble. And the most, as I said, the most impressive feature of the station is the large mosaics, and these are celebrating the, you know, the Russian-Ukrainian unity, particularly at the time, because I don't think we could get away with saying that today. But again, a station worth going to, and it's another one with the just absolute wow factor, and well worth spending at least half an hour going around all the fantastic artwork. And that basically concludes my tour of the Moscow Metro. And as I'm sure you've noticed, it has only covered about 4 or 5 stations, and you must bear in mind there's over 200 stations on the Moscow Metro. However, don't panic, because not all the stations are as glamorous as these, and the ones that we have looked at, and all the glamorous stations, a lot of them are all within the central Moscow area. So basically, the further out you go, the more drab the stations become. But you really do have to travel some distance before that begins to happen. The whole thing about the place is I cannot possibly express how fascinating this is. And whenever I'm doing the tours usually take roughly about 2.5 hours, and believe it or not, that's because it's so quick and we know where we're going. However, as I pointed out earlier, if you're ever in Moscow and it's, for example, if it's raining, it is the perfect day out, and all you need to do is you need to go in and buy 1 ticket, and that's it. And the tickets usually cost the equivalent of about, if you're in Britain or Ireland, equivalent of about 30p. And you can spend the entire day making as many train journeys as you like, but just with that 1 ticket, and go to as many stations as you like with that 1 ticket. So, you know, to talk about value for money, you're not going to get bigger value for money for that. But as I said, I only looked at a few of the stations, and there are lots more, and, you know, quite a few of them are just as impressive. But I've shown you just the, you know, the highlights to give you an idea of what you can expect to see once you get there. But take my word for it, if you ever make a trip to Moscow, you really must visit the metro. And to conclude, this brings us to basically how to use the metro. And all you do is you go to a metro station, and once you go in, you can go to the ticket office. You decide how many journeys you want to make and get them basically onto your ticket. Failing that, you can go to any of the machines, and the machines, they have an English option, and you can, you know, pay by card or pay by Apple Pay, for example. Very, very easy to use. You go down into the escalators, work out where it is you want to go, and remember what I said, this is very easy if you just make up your own words. Wait for the train. The trains are usually every 90 seconds, and that's you ready to travel the Moscow Metro. I hope you enjoyed this short video, and if you did, could I just ask that you please subscribe to my channel and click onto the video links at the end of this, and it'll show you the other videos that we've made while we're out and about in Moscow.